What's up, guys? Koma here, and welcome back to the SSS, the Splitgate Splitgate School. I'm still getting used to saying that name. And today we are covering Meridian. So, for most people who don't know, just like Eros, the Eros video I did previously, Splitgate consists of 3 factions, and Meridian is the support role. So Meridian is basically all about supporting your teammates. Basically, Hypersight here, their main ability, allows them to briefly reveal enemies through walls for you and your allies. And their team trait is Wellness, which basically reduces the health regeneration, or it increases health regeneration for you and your teammates. Okay, random cut. I needed to sneeze. Anyway, so Meridian is a very vital part of your team. You at least want one Meridian and one Eros whenever you're running, because you can at least have Taskmaster and Wellness up. So Meridian is always at least to have one of. So realistically, let's go through all the weapons. And realistically, how does Eros or Meridian play? We're not covering Eros. That was in the last video. So Meridian as a whole fills that support role, as I was saying before. And they are focused about really time manipulation and a bunch of other stuff, and that is covered in their time dome, which I'm going to go ahead and out and say this is probably the best ability in the game, simply because of how quickly it actually recharges and how often you can use it, thanks to rapid recharge, which is something that I covered in the last video, which I might as well cover it now, as it just recharges your equipment faster. Now, Time Dome allows you to set down the dome, and when you're inside the dome, it increases all speed-based buffs. So that includes reloading, moving, and fire rate. So it affects your fire rate. With that said, we are majorly taking all these weapons and increasing their fire rate tenfold, or as much as we physically can. So, starting out with the first assault rifle, Synapse. This is the second or third assault rifle in the game, my bad. So realistically, you can build this however you want. But again, for my builds, I try to crank out as much fire rate as I can. So I have the rapid fire attachment here. Much like the Eros Rush ability, which you get quite often, you're going to be getting the time dome more often as well, so you don't really need fast mag, but if you're under tight situations, might be useful. Really depends on, what you need. You can also use grip here for extra stability at ranges, and barrel extension for, further range and extending your damage at much further distances. And that's pretty much the Synapse. It's a clean little assault rifle. I have really no complaints about it. Going on to the Quantum. So this is by far my favorite gun of the entire alpha. We haven't seen any other burst rifle yet. Meridian is the only current faction to have a burst rifle. But my favorite way to build this thing is specifically with Bullet Burst. I covered this in my little preview. And basically, Bullet Burst effectively allows you to reduce the time between your bursts. So basically, you can do the trade-off of impact ammo and reducing the time between your bursts, as well as putting rapid fire on it to basically increase the rate of fire pretty much. I don't know how fast it is, but I would say it's about like 10 to 15% faster. And keep in mind, with Time Dome, this is even faster. So this gun can fire at a rapid rate. Theoretically, you don't need rapid fire. You could technically take off rapid fire and throw on fast mag, extended mag, whatever you want, and you would be fine. So you really don't need rapid fire. But I like to basically dump my magazine of this thing. So really fun gun, kind of a blast. Last weapon being the Charger Shotgun. This thing is a little bit of a twist when it comes down to a shotgun. It's not like the Plow shotgun from Sabrask. And it charges up, and when you charge it, it shoots automatically, and you have to really time your shots right. The way I'm using this is specifically with rapid fire and laser sight. I haven't got very many kills with this thing, so realistically, you can use it however you want. But rapid fire basically makes sense. It's increasing my fire rate, increasing the charge time. Time dome is also going to be increasing my charge time, and laser sight is tightening my spread, so I can shoot at further distances, but still be able to, at least two tap enemies. Now you could take off if you're comfortable with the gun, you can take off rapid fire and put on barrel extension. Therefore, you can get kills at much further ranges. Fast mag, I don't see very much use. Most of the time, you're going to be using time dome at your feet anyway, so you can quickly reload that way. And you can also have melee knuckles, which basically allows you to melee more often with this gun. And of course, we have the Helios, and much like the Eros pistol, same attachments. I go with fast mag. You can run laser sight. Don't know about barrel extension, but personal choice at that point. So when it comes down to the equipment, I personally like the time dome. This is the only thing I run on Meridian. Unlike Eros, where I'll run both, depending on which weapon I'm running, time dome is the only thing I run on Meridian. Simply because it's effective. Health grenade isn't as potent as something like the stem, but the stem is a one-person use, and the health grenade is a multi-person use, so your entire team can get the buff of health grenade. Not the best thing. If anything, this thing probably needs a buff over the stem, but I'm really hesitant to say that, so I don't know. But it's there if you want to try it out. I've seen some good uses. I've used it a few times. It's not bad by any means. I just think there could be potentially a better option for that grenade. So we've covered rapid recharge. Basically allows me to get my time down faster, or your healing grenade. I think if you do have rapid recharge and healing grenade on, you can do back-to-back healing grenades, so you can just stack them on top of one another, basically. And your next perk is Tracker. People you shoot are briefly marked on the minimap for you and your teammates. So this is not as crazy as you may think, because the way that they're marked is basically marked the exact same way as Hypersight is. And we'll cover Hypersight here in a moment, because there's something big that comes up with Hypersight in a moment. So basically, they'll be marked on the minimap. Oh, excuse me. And you can basically see where they're looking. For most people who are curious, it reminds me a lot of the Hater from I can't remember which game it was. I believe that was Black Ops 3, or any of the advanced UAVs from the Call of Duty franchise. Basically, you shoot them, and they'll be marked on the map specifically with an arrow, and you can see which way they're turning, which way they're looking, and which way they're going. So a very useful perk. Unfortunately, Hypersight's uptime really makes this thing irrelevant, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Unblinking, I'm going to cover eye for eye real quick, because this is the one thing that it's interesting, but I don't use it very much. The only time I actually use this is specifically for my charger, therefore I know what's going on around me. But basically, it allows you to see enemy portals and equipment through walls. Basically, it highlights anything on the map. I haven't really had too many issues with it cluttering visually. So it's a pretty unique perk. Meridian is the only one to actually have this. And of course, Unblinking, which it has the shorter cooldown of Meridian Hypersight, which compared to Eros, it has about the same cooldown. The Sabrask ability, which we'll cover in the next video, has a lower cooldown. So Hypersight can actually be obtained like 4 to 5 times per round. Assuming that round is, relatively quick, an average round. So yeah, Hypersight is super strong, and it really makes me think the Tracker perk really is not that worth it. Okay, so this is while I'm editing this, so this is kind of a little bit off the cuff, but I kind of want to talk about Hypersight for a moment, because I do consider this to be one of the best abilities in the game, but it works in a very specific way. So whenever we actually watch the most of the footage of the previews for with a bunch of the big content creators, we assumed hypersight was just kind of a global ping. For most people who played Black Ops 3, I assumed it was Outriders like vision that does the pulse and it highlights anyone around you through walls. That is not the case. Hypersight specifically allows you to use it in a specific direction. So basically, you want to be looking in the direction that you believe the enemy will be spawning at. Therefore, anyone who is spawned or who is actively already spawned from the whoever you just killed is actually marked for a very short period of time as they come towards you. I wanted to clear that up. I didn't mention it. I probably should have. It pretty much slipped my mind, but this is what this little section is for. So, enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, so with everything kind of rounded out, realistically, how should you play Meridian? So Meridian can be played in multiple different ways. It can be played in an aggressive manner thanks to the charger shotgun. That's kind of weird to say. Or you can also play it kind of mid-range with the Synapse assault rifle. But I think the best way is to really be a spotter for your team and run the Quantum. This thing with the Time Dome is extremely strong. If you're playing aggressive, it's hard to say whether or not you would want Healing Grenade or Time Dome, but realistically, I like Time Dome. It reduces a lot of the problems that these two guns really encounter, specifically with fire rate, being able to compete with some of the more long-range weapons. And overall, the team trait and hypersight is just very good to have on your team. Again, you're at least wanting one of Meridian and Eros on your team. Sabrask is questionable, but we'll cover that in the next video. So yeah, I think that is generally everything to cover with Meridian. One of my favorites, easily by far my top #1 so far faction. The abilities are solid, the cooldowns are solid, the team trait is solid. The perks are really nice, and just generally how well this faction performs. Sometimes over Eros, in fact, is just really fun. Having 2 Meridians on a single team has some very good benefits to it, as your hypersight along with unblinking basically allows you just constant uptime as long as you're alive, of being able to pop hypersight, giving your team information, and be able to dominate whatever game you're actively playing in. Compared to Eros, where Eros is simply more personal, where you can, simply use your Eros and it only affects you. Meridian basically benefits the entire team. So, just overall, a really fun time to actually play. Again, Quantum is my go-to rifle here. It's just a blast to run around with, sit back, with the Time Dome, with your fire rate barrel and your bullet burst, and just shred people from a medium distance. So yeah, I think that's generally it for Meridian's school session, little lesson here. If you did find this video informative and you want to see Sabrask soon, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I will be covering Sabrask and how you should really be covering the defenses in terms of Sabrask. So with that said, I will see you guys in the next session of the SSS. Adios.